Hello, hello. Welcome and Merry Christmas and Happy Boxing Day. Today is Boxing Day. It's crazy. It's been so cold out too every single day. I moved south this year and I'm in North Carolina. I was in Pennsylvania, but it's still freezing cold down here. So I didn't really get much out of moving south. But it's sunny today. So anyway, happy Boxing Day. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you for being here. Last time on the live stream, we talked about the holistic healing framework, and it's some of my best work. It's gotten so many people results already, including myself, my friends, my family, and my clients. So we've seen so many results from the holistic healing framework, but I know that it's difficult. Because you start to say, well, I get it. I got to change how I eat. I got to change how I sleep. I got to change how I show up in the world. And that's hard, right? Changing habits is hard. And so many people saw the holistic healing framework. They said, that's great. That's awesome. That sounds so good. But how do I do that? Like, how do I actually do that for myself? Right? There's a lot of us that don't have the self-confidence or the ability to believe that we can stick with this long term. We don't believe that it's actually something that we ourselves can do. So if that's you, I totally understand. I've been there. I know what it feels like to feel like you want change, but you're not actually able to do it. And we're going to talk all about that today, and we're going to lay your fears to rest, because I know it can be scary. I know it can be hard, but we're going to talk about how you can change your habits, you can change the way you view the world, and you can change the way that you take action in the world based on having a system for decisions, a support system, and so much more. We're going to get right into it. So, first of all, this is a holistic healing framework that we went over. And there's just really one thing I want to mention. I want to make sure you understand. So I put it 1 through 6 here, but as you can see, this is an infinite loop, right? So yes, I have 1 through 6. 1, lab work. 2, rest. 3, zest. 4, food. 5, environment. 6, medicinal herbs. But the truth is, this then goes back upon itself. Okay? It does not just end at medicinal herbs and, okay, you're all better. That's not how it works. This is a reiterative process. After you get through 6, then you go back to 1. How can I be better? How can I change it so that it's more consistent? How can I change it so that I can stick to it more? How can I change it so that it's easier for me? How can I change it so that it fits into my lifestyle? How can I change it so that it's a habit that I do continually day in and day out, regardless of how I feel? If your emotions are driving your decisions, then your rational decisions won't come to the front. You won't be able to actually do the things that are going to have the impact that you need it to have. So it's important to realize this is reiterative. It goes back to the beginning. It doesn't just go to 6 and then you're done. This is a reiterative process that goes on forever and ever, hence the infinite sign. Now, another thing is healing is not a straight line. Okay? This is what people think it looks like. All right, well, I'll just take supplements and boom, I'll get better. Or I'll just take this and I'll get better. Or I'll just start taking antibiotics and I'll get better. Or I'll just fix my diet and I'll get better. That is not how it looks. As I've said, it is a reiterative process that folds back on itself, and you go back to number 1 so you can get more lab work, more self-evaluation, understand yourself a little bit more, change the process slightly. It could even be one little thing. Like it's on Sundays, I'm going to eat this instead of that. And that one little change could change everything. Could unlock the way that you feel the best, you have the most energy, and you are able to beat Lyme disease. So this is not what it looks like. It is not a straight line. It's a very messy, hard, long process. And it's important that you know that up front, because I don't want to give any false expectations. I don't want you coming in thinking, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake. This is going to be so easy. I just do this, and this, and it's done, and then the problem's solved. Not how it works. We want to be very realistic with you and make sure you understand up front that it's not a straight line. It's a reiterative process. It takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. All that cliche stuff. And you're not just going to come in here and fix it right away. So once again, just understand that you're going to go back to the beginning once you do all 6 of these, right? And I highly doubt that you're going to go through this one time and get everything perfect, right? And if you do, I highly doubt you will stick with it. A lot of the evaluation and changes that you'll make is to adjust to make sure that you can continue to do these healthy habits in your life, right? The best plan in the world is worth absolutely nothing if you do none of it. The best plan in the world will get you absolutely nowhere if you don't take the first step, okay? And I learned this the hard way. I learned this in a very, very interesting way. I was 13 years old and I wanted to lose weight, right? I was 13 years old. I was the fat kid. I was over 200 pounds at 13, which was unheard of. I was the fat kid in every class. I was the class clown because I had to cope with the fact that I was fatter than everybody else. I was the biggest kid on all of my sports teams. I was always the fat kid. I was the token fat kid in every situation. I actually have a picture of me on a soccer team who were eating ice cream, and I'm in the back of the picture, but I'm like the size of 2 or 3 kids eating ice cream, and the rest of them just don't even realize I'm there, right? So I was 13 years old and I wanted to lose weight, but I could not get myself to work out, to eat healthy, to do the things that I knew I needed to do. So how many of you have felt like that in the past, right? Raise your hand or comment below or tell yourself, yes, I felt like that before. I've been knowing I need to do something and haven't done it, right? How many of you have Lyme disease, but you're still drinking soda on a daily basis? Now, soda is high fructose corn syrup and sugar and garbage. It's basically a whole bunch of nothing that just destroys our health. There's no positive to drinking soda at all. So if you're drinking soda and you want to heal from Lyme disease, that doesn't go together. And so you may already know that. You may know I'm supposed to not drink soda, and you continue to do it every single day anyway. And that's completely understandable. It's called being a human. It's called having habits. It's called having, there's other reasons why we do things, right? You have a family. Maybe your grandma or grandpa used to share Coca-Cola with you every day after school, and it brought back good memories, right? We have these family reasons, these histories. We're complex beings. We have a lot of layers. And it's not just black and white. Like, all right, you should eat a salad, so you're going to eat a salad. You shouldn't drink the soda, so you're not going to drink soda. That's not how it works. And I understand that. And anybody who's a competent practitioner or healer or anyone that helps people should understand that we're complex beings and we're not just black and white. Okay, you do this, not that. So I couldn't get myself to do it. I knew I needed to do sit-ups, I needed to run, I needed to do some cardio, I needed to lift some weights, and I couldn't get myself to do any of that stuff. And also I was eating complete garbage. I'm talking Doritos, Coca-Cola, whatever, my parents were giving me when I was 13 years old. And I knew that exercise and eating less were what I needed to do, but I just didn't do it. I was just the fat kid, and I was sad all the time. I got depressed. I would sleep after school all the time. And this is called being human, right? As I just said before, we all have our problems. We all have the things that we push down or that we avoid or that we ignore or that we just say, we'll fix it tomorrow. We procrastinate. This is part of life. And maybe you can relate. I mean, if you're being honest with yourself, is there something that you should have done and you didn't do, or you should do and you're not currently doing? I think we can all agree, we can all say there's things that we should be doing that we're not doing. For example, I'll give you one right now. I should probably make more YouTube videos. And so today I'm live on YouTube. I also just got done recording 3 videos. So if you're here, hit the subscribe button because I'm going to continue releasing a bunch of content coming up shortly. But maybe you can relate to not doing enough. And I've been there, trust me. I mean, it always feels like that to me. If you're a business owner, you know what this feels like. Because no matter how much you do, you could always do more. But I want you to stick around because I'm not just here to tell you that you suck because you've been not doing things that you're supposed to do. Stick around because I'm going to tell you how to make it so that you do it. All right, stick around. This is going to get a lot better. Because when I was 14, a girl named Alex, I remember like it was yesterday. Her name was Alexandria. Everyone called her Alex. She had blonde hair, brown eyes. She was cute. I liked her. But she basically said to me, I would never date you because you're fat, which was a terrible thing at the time. It hurt my feelings. It was a terrible thing. I didn't actually want to date Alex. We were like friends, and we would like, you know, we were 13 or 14 years old. So we would fight, and it was a kind of strange, unhealthy relationship. We probably liked each other, but we were flirting with each other in a dark kind of way. And she said this mean thing to me. She's like, I would never date you because you're fat. And it hit me hard. And I remember I didn't show her that it hurt me or say anything mean back to her. I just kind of remembered it and dwelled on it that night in bed. And it really affected me mentally. But terrible things can lead to good outcomes. So the next day I was hanging out with all my friends. We were in my friend's basement. All around the pool table. There was a pool table in the basement. We were just like leaning on it. We weren't really playing pool. We were just talking around and joking. And I go to my friends and I said, I'm going to get jacked. And they all cracked up at me. They laughed so hard. Probably because I said that multiple times in the past and never did it. Like we were just discussing, there's a lot of things we know we should do and we never do them. That was where I was at in my journey during this time in my life. So I said, I'm going to get jacked, and they laughed at me, okay? I don't even know what I'm going to get jacked means in today's language, but back then that meant I wanted a six-pack. I wanted to have all my muscles showing. I wanted to be skinny and sleek and lean and, you know, have a good body. My friends laughed at me because I was the fat kid at the time, and they couldn't believe that that would be true. They couldn't possibly believe that their friend could change that much. Right? And maybe I didn't believe it at the time either. But the thing is, we're going to talk about this later, maybe in another live, where our friends, our family, our loved ones, they don't always, yes, they want what's best for us, but they also sometimes accidentally hold us back because they know us as a certain person. They have come to identify us with certain characteristics. And if we try to completely change those, it can kind of disrupt things and change everything. In fact, there's a growing piece of work, of evidence that shows that people who are obese and then lose a lot of weight, oftentimes they lose a lot of friends. They have divorce situations more often. They have, you know, situations where families break up more often when somebody who's obese loses weight, which is very interesting because it just goes to show, you know, do your friends really want you to evolve into a better version of yourself, or do they want you to just stay the same and stay you? And if they do want you to stay you, is that a bad thing? Probably not. It's actually a good thing. They loved you so much. They identify with you as you are. But as you change, you don't want to stay that same person. You want to change. It causes a bunch of turmoil in your life, and it's not good. So we'll talk about that probably in the next live video. But the point was, I wanted to get jacked. My family and friends did not think it was possible, but this time ended up actually being different. This was the time where I actually took action. I actually started doing sit-ups. I actually started doing, you know, going for runs. I actually started lifting weights. I actually started eating less food and eating healthier food. But why? That's what I started exploring before this presentation. Why was that time different for me? Why didn't I just continue doing the same stuff that I had always been doing? I always knew I needed to eat healthier, go to the gym, get healthy, but I didn't do it. And I was only 14 years old. I don't blame myself. I'm not dwelling on it or anything. I was a young kid. But staying where I was officially became more painful than the work that would take me to where I wanted to go. Okay? So you could think of it like a scale. So staying where I was like, all right, it's fine. Like, everything's good. I have friends, family, I have everything that I need, and I'm right here where I am, right where I need to be. But as soon as this became more painful than the work, this is the work was down here. I was like, it's all right. It's I know I should do it, but I'm not going to do it. But as soon as Alex told me I was a piece of garbage and she would never date me because I'm too fat, this side went up. The work officially became less painful than staying where I was. So that pain, that comment that Alex made at the time, and I never told her, she never knows, she still doesn't know to this day, that she drove me to change my entire life. And I'd always wanted to be jacked, but I never would have actually done it. I never would have gotten there. But the catalyst for change that kicked my legs out from under me, broke my heart, and got me to move into action was actually Alex telling me that I was too fat to be, dating her, which I didn't even want to date her, to be completely honest. I didn't have romantic interest in Alex, but just the fact that she said that, I knew that other girls were thinking it. See, the truth was we were just very close friends. So she was comfortable telling me these things. She knew I could handle it. I didn't want to date her, but the fact that she said she wouldn't date me made me think that other women were thinking the same thing. And that's when I knew I needed to change. Not only did I end up getting a six-pack by the time I was 15, but I also learned along the way, obviously it wasn't easy. It was very difficult. I suffered through a lot of hard times. I made a bunch of mistakes along the way. I definitely would have not have done it the same way that I did it back then, but I also learned to like myself. I ended up getting a girlfriend who actually liked me for who I was, not for what I looked like, and I created a solid group of friends who liked me regardless of how I looked as well. And so this ends up being a happy story because I was able to not only transform myself, but also figure out what was important. It was to like myself and to get a girlfriend and, to have this solid group of people around me who liked me because I like myself and because, regardless of how I looked, they just wanted to be friends with me because I brought value to the group, regardless of, being the fat kid or the skinny kid. None of that mattered. But the thing is, for me, it never would have happened without that negative catalyst in my life, that dark moment in my life where that bad thing happened, where someone said, you got to get this under control. That's not what they said. They said, I would never date you because you're too fat. That negative catalyst is what drove me to then become better. And listen, that won't work for everyone. Right? It's not necessarily going to work for you. It's not going to work 100% of the time, but sometimes it's very, very important to think about things in these terms. I think that this can help a lot of people start to get their health under control if they have that negative catalyst event. Listen, 6 out of 7 obese people will lose weight in their life, but almost all of them put it back on. Okay, that just goes to show you how hard it is to stick to a plan that we make, okay? If you make a perfect plan for getting healthy over a specific period of time, it doesn't matter at all if you stop doing it after a couple days. So, Lyme disease motivated me to become stronger and healthier, right? Also, somebody telling me I was fat motivated me to become stronger and healthier. Does Lyme disease do that for you? That's my question. Does it do that for you? Comment below. Does Lyme disease does it give you a negative catalyst? Does it give you something to say, man, I'm so pissed off. Like, my health needs to be in order and it's not in order. And now I have Lyme disease and it's crushing my body. Does it give you that feeling that's like, I need to be better. I need to try something new. I need to change my health. Does it give you that feeling? Is it your negative catalyst? Because if it is, that's extremely powerful and you don't want to waste that. You can use that anger and sadness to build something brand new from there. Okay, when Lyme disease is your negative catalyst, then you're able to use that as a shift for transformation. When I got Lyme, I went through a roller coaster of emotions. First, I was scared because I didn't know what the hell Lyme was. Then I was angry because I realized not a lot of people knew what Lyme was at all. Then I was sad because I realized that that there's not much we can do to get better. Then I was hopeful because I realized I could do certain things that other people may not know about. I could use holistic wellness in order to get better. And I started building back. But then I failed. I did some stuff that wasn't helping me get better at all. I actually ended up sleeping more and getting, falling behind on my health. And I went back to being upset. Then I was okay. Then I started making progress, right? It's a total roller coaster. It's going to be all over the place. And then, so it's important to realize that and then start small. So for me, when I was 13 years old and I realized I needed to get skinny, all I did was stop drinking soda. That was it. I didn't go join some program and immediately just sign up to every single thing that I could. I did probably try to do more than just this one thing, but just this one thing, I knew that if I could stick to just this one thing, I would see some kind of result. So all I did was replace all my soda with water, and guess what? I lost 30 pounds just from doing that one little tweak. One little thing. And 30 pounds went out the window. No more soda. And that's it. I changed one tiny little thing. And if you think in long term, not short term, and think of healing as a transformation, that is what actually causes it to work. Okay? And so, the greatest plan in the world is worth absolutely nothing if you don't stick to it. So you've got to think long term, not short term. What can you do today that you can still do next month and the month after that and the month after that? Right? Don't think about what you can do today in order to be healthy. Of course, you can go do push-ups. You can, eat your salad. You could go eat vegetables, eat a really healthy dinner. Eat less than normal. You could do all that stuff today. That's great. But will you do it tomorrow? That's the question. And everyone needs to think in these long-term, not short-term solutions. The truth is, if I were to start a YouTube channel about Lyme disease and I never thought ahead and thought, if I build this YouTube channel, I can help thousands of people with Lyme disease, then I would have just created a couple of videos and stopped. You've got to think in long-term fashion. In the eyes of a YouTube channel, for me, it was, I need an editor that can edit all my videos because I don't have time to edit videos all the time. I need this, I need that, I need a camera, I need a light, I need this setup, I need that setup, I need a website. You need all these things. When it comes to healing, maybe don't go all the way into a brand new diet tomorrow and expect that you'll stick with it long term. Maybe start making small changes like cutting out soda. Or eating one salad a day or eating one helping of vegetables a day for the next year, 2 years. That's way more vegetables than if you ate perfectly healthy for a month out of the year, right? We want to think long term, not short term. And the other thing is, you must actually create a new identity. Okay? You need to become a warrior. You need to become a Lyme disease warrior. Somebody that is going to show up for your health each and every day. Somebody that does the hard work. And then you need to get closer to that identity every day. See, I heard a very smart man once talking about this exact phenomenon. And he said, the best that ever did it, this is how they do it. They create a new identity of themselves in the future, and then they get closer and closer to that identity every day. And the more they understand that future identity of them, and the more they become that future identity, the more they live into that, and their actual future gets created based on them getting closer and closer to that identity every single day. So if you have this view of your future self as someone who is healthy, as someone who has a ton of energy, someone who has fought the fight and has their body back, somebody who completely has energy at all times of the day, no matter what. If you want to be that person, it's important to do the habits that that person would do and start learning about that person. Start thinking about that person. What would that person do? What would that person be? How would they, what would they eat for breakfast? What would they eat for lunch? What would they eat for dinner? How would they act? What would they do with their time in between all of this? When you start to realize all those little pieces, you start to learn about these pieces of this new identity, you're learning more and more about who you are becoming as you become that person. And so you must create the new identity and then get closer and closer to it. Build an actual relationship with a future identity of yourself, and then eventually one day you'll wake up and you'll actually be that future identity. And this takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen immediately. This is how it actually works. Do not think about this as a diet. This is not a diet. This is a life change, right? And diet is really only one piece of the entire puzzle, as you know. It's a very, very important one, in my opinion, as a nutritionist. But this is a life change. This is I'm going to transform everything in my life to be the most healthy, thriving individual that I could possibly be. It's not just about changing your diet for a whole year, for a month. It's not about changing your life for a whole month or for a whole year. It's about making small changes that can last forever. Becoming a better person today than you were yesterday, but doing that on a continuum that lasts for the rest of your entire life. And consistency should be prioritized over everything else. When we create plans, we create meal plans and herb therapy and all these plans for people to follow. The number one thing in the world that we look for is not, how much is this person getting their micronutrients? What is this person's macro mix? Like how many carbs to proteins to fats, etc. in their diet? That stuff is all good and well, but the number one thing that we focus on, the more than anything else, is will this person stick to the plan? Is this plan something that someone can stick to? Is this plan something that this specific individual will stick to? And that completely changes the game. It completely changes how you look at what is healthy versus unhealthy. It completely changes how you look at what are the correct decisions for this individual. We need to adjust our plans for long-term consistency over everything. When I was first losing weight when I was 14 years old, I actually tried this silly fasting program. Maybe you've heard of it. It involves maple syrup and cayenne pepper and lemon juice, and you kind of mix it together in this concoction, and you drink that instead of eating any food, and it was a fasting program. I had no idea what I was doing. I never would do that today if I knew what was going on. But what happened was I lost a whole crap ton of weight. It just came falling off. But I was also losing muscle. I was losing all types of stuff. It basically just wasn't eating. And then as soon as I said, all right, the program's over, it's been 30 days, I put all the weight back on and then some. Just like 6 out of 7 of the obese people in that example, the weight just came right back on. When you try these quick programs that are meant to just get results immediately, and they're not based on the long-term thinking, they're not based on consistency, you almost always fail and end up in a worse place than you were before. And that is a huge problem, red flag, whatever you want to call it. But do not think of this as a program that has an end date, because then you will fail. You must commit to consistency. Think long-term, make small changes, and during the evaluation period, which, as I've told you, it reiterates itself, it goes back on itself each time, get to know what motivates you, right? What are the things that keep you on track to be the healthiest version of yourself? What are the things that actually help you, right? And just to give you a quick example, this Thanksgiving and Christmas, I did not break my diet. I did not eat candy or eat a ton of turkey and stuffing and gravy and all that nonsense. I didn't do any of that stuff. And this is the first year I was ever able to do that. But it's crazy. I'm at this point now where I totally understand myself and what motivates me. I understand every single piece of that. Now, it took me 6 years to get to this point of going through this holistic healing process over and over and over and over and over again, that now I know, okay, well, this is what motivates me. So I have a ton of the motivation factors in my life so that I'm able to, make the small changes, but also continue on the path that I'm on, right? Now I'm at a point where I wouldn't drink for a day because it would totally knock off the rest of my whole week, right? I wouldn't eat terribly one random day of the week because it would totally mess up my whole month. You get to a point where you know yourself so well inside and out that the easy decision is actually the best decision. So the eating the healthy food and not eating the unhealthy food is actually just the go-to normal response that you have because you understand yourself so well that you've set up your life in such a way that all of the decisions that you make are a culmination of everything you've been through, and they're all positive decisions. I know it sounds crazy. It sounds impossible to make it through Thanksgiving and Christmas without having some treats. But I did it this year and I don't regret it at all. I love every second of it. I have an immense amount of energy today because yesterday I didn't stuff my face all day with candy and treats. And so it's just really important that you get to know what motivates you. But the holistic healing framework is what helps us make decisions and creates a path to follow. But, big but here, healing is a verb, okay? It's an action word. It's something you do. The framework is the framework for a reason. It's what we look through. It's a lens in which we look through. It's how we process information. But healing is something that you specifically must do. It's an action you must take. You have to know yourself, move yourself to action, be an evolving human, right? Commit to being someone who evolves and gets better over time. Start small, right? Start with something very simple that's going to allow you to stick with it. What is a change that you can make today that you could do forever, right? And for some people, it'll be something like switching and stopping drinking soda. And maybe that's it for you, or maybe that's too hard for you. Maybe you can't stop drinking soda. You can't see how you would continually do that for a year, 2 years down the road. And if that's the case, pick something simpler. How can you sleep better tonight and every night? How can you have a consistent sleep schedule, right? Start small. Start with things that you can actually manage. They start to affect each other in a way that's very surprising at the least, right? For example, let's say you start sleeping on a consistent schedule. And now since you go to bed at 10 o'clock every night, you wake up at, let's say, 8 o'clock every morning. So now that you wake up at 8 o'clock every morning, you have 8 until 10 o'clock to exercise. And since you have that time to exercise and you start exercising, well, you might as well eat something healthy, right? These things can end up creating a domino effect in your life where the correct decision leads to the next correct decision leads to the next correct decision. But it all starts in the very beginning with something small. So choose something small that you can commit to with consistency. Don't commit to 1 month. Don't commit to 1 year. Commit, this is something that I can do now, forever, for 5 years plus. If you can't commit to it to 5 years plus, then maybe don't even do it. I'm at that point where this is how important it is to stick to the plan. It's so important to stick to the plan that you shouldn't even commit if you can't commit to more than 3 years of doing something. Because if you fall off and it goes the other way, it'll always be worse than it was before. So it's almost better to just commit to anything than it is to not commit to anything. and you're really looking to do is build over long periods of time. You don't have to heal Lyme disease tomorrow. I know you want to. I know you want to take your body back. I know you want to feel like yourself again. I know you want this to happen tomorrow. That's just not how health works. Our body responds to averages over time. We don't just wake up better the next day, right? We don't just wake up in the best state of our lives. We slowly get there over time. Things change over time. It's really important to understand that. So now you have the holistic healing framework. You know how to start small and try to build consistency. But what about things that are outside of your control? Right? What about things that are stopping you that are not you? Okay? Because we've talked about the holistic healing framework. It's an amazing vehicle that will take you to where you want to go. You should quit doing whatever you're doing right now and focus on the holistic healing framework. Whatever you're doing right now with antibiotics, stop. Whatever you're doing right now with other herbs, stop. Whatever you're doing right now to try and get healthy, just focus on one thing, and that one thing should be the holistic healing framework. Now, the next question was, well, how do we get people to stick to the holistic healing framework? How do we get people to actually believe that they can do it, right? I understand that it's hard, and I understand that it's difficult to get ourselves to change habits and to become new people and to identify as a new person and start to step into that new role. It's very, very, very difficult. But if you start small, try to build consistency. The whole goal is long-term consistency. The goal is not immediate factors of health, right? The goal is, can you do this tomorrow, the next day, and for the next 5 years? But, so now that you know that, that helps immensely with getting that weight off your shoulder, with the ability to then show up and make the right decisions, because you know now what the goal really is. The goal isn't that you have a really healthy diet this month. The goal is that you improve your diet for the next 5 years starting today. Okay? And now that you understand that, I think that mindset shift is really what allows people to know that they can do it. And you can do it. You can heal from Lyme disease if you have these mindsets. And so that's why I wanted to share this with you today. But I know there's another piece. I know there's another piece that you are thinking about. And these are things that are outside of your control. These are outside pressures like family, right? Like, let's say you want to eat a healthy diet, but your family isn't on board with you. How do you do that? How do you handle that? What about pressures outside of your control? What about money? What about cost of time and cost of money in order to get better from Lyme disease? These are things that are outside of your control, but that affect your ability to see how you can be successful using the holistic healing framework. So what I want you to do is comment below. Let me know, what are the things that you believe are outside of your control that affect your direct ability to start to heal from Lyme disease, to use the holistic healing framework, and to start to feel like yourself again and take back your body. I want to know, what is stopping you? What is the outside pressures that are stopping you? What is the things that are not allowing you to move forward? Is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it money? What is it for you? Because now, hopefully it's not you anymore. Hopefully you realize that you can do this. You can start small and start building consistency over time. You can do that. I know because I've done it. I know because I've seen many, many people do it. There is no change too small. There's no change too small. If you believe you cannot change anything, then you're probably looking at things that are really hard to change, like your diet or your sleep schedule or something like immediately large to change. Try to focus on just choosing something small and that you can do consistently. Okay? For example, a sauna. Saunas for Lyme disease are very, very helpful. They allow you to eliminate toxins through your sweat. They allow you to increase your heart rate. They allow you to do these things while sitting still in a nice warm room, right? A little too warm, but it's not incredibly difficult to do a sauna. Maybe you can add a sauna in twice per week or once per week as your healing process. That is something small that you can do. And if you do it every week, it'll start to build consistency. It might start to change other habits that you have in your life. So what small things can you do, right? Stop focusing on how it's so hard to change and it's so difficult to change habits and change things, and start to focus on what can you change. Okay, I get it. It's hard to change. What can you change? Okay, I get it. It's hard to think long term. What can you change long term? If you start to show up and do those things, the rest takes care of itself as far as you being able to stick to the plan and you being able to continue down the road of the holistic healing framework. But what about your family? What about money? What about your job? What about these outside circumstances putting pressures on you that are outside of your control? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in the next live video next week. So I want you to comment below. Let me know, what are the outside pressures that are forcing you to not be able to pursue health and happiness and wellness? What are the outside pressures that are crushing you and stopping you from really becoming the best version of yourself and thriving? I want to know. So comment below, and hopefully this video finds you well. Happy Boxing Day. Merry Christmas. Don't forget, go to LymeDiseaseWars.com. There you can sign up for our early bird list, where you're going to hear first about our brand new launch that's coming on up. You're going to hear first about our supplement line that we're going to be launching as well. We give away free stuff, free t-shirts, free this and that, giveaways, prizes, news, updates. We send an email to our list every single day to help you with holistically healing Lyme disease. So just get on the email list, because then you'll be on the list. You'll be receiving everything, all of our communication, so that we can help you really beat this thing and get your life back. We really want you to have your body back. We really want you to take back control of your life. And we know how to do that. We know we can help you. So hit the subscribe button and go to LymeDiseaseWars.com, and I'll see you in the next live video. Thanks a lot. Bye.